I'm going to talk a little bit about, I guess, the things that I think are important for bass players to be thinking about. It's what I'm shooting for anyway. This is a wonderful and unique kind of group to play in because you're not only dealing with foundational issues of the bass, you're definitely responsible for a great part of the rhythm, as everyone is in the group, but especially the drums and the bass are going to set the tone of a lot of things. And in fact, the choices you make are going to influence what everybody's playing. And if you leave enough space, if you listen carefully and select directions that are beneficial for the whole group, you can be the type of bass player that hopefully lots of people will want to play with. So you have to be part drummer, part harmonic and melodic inventor. I think in short, you have to think like a composer and arranger to play bass in this music, which is wide open, like on the last tune. When this, for instance, the solo structures that we were playing over are largely open. So whatever you play is going to influence what the soloist does and vice versa. Also, my ears are very in tune with what Peter's doing, and if we launch into another kind of rhythm or something, I'm going to try to be there and try to set something up, and we'll fall into different things and try to lay a carpet for the soloist to ride on. That's that kind of music. You know, you might be playing in a situation where you're playing for a singer and you have a very strict song form to adhere to with a verse and a chorus and two verses and a bridge. Then you have to think like you're laying down the foundation, but you're also serving the melody and the singer's line. You can't step on the singer's phrases with your fills. You have to stay underneath and sort of support and make things happen in a different way. There are so many different kinds of music, and each kind of music presents you as a bassist with a challenge. It's a great responsibility on one hand, and it's a great challenge, and it's a lot of fun. You can really change the music in any group you play with just by choosing a certain note or a certain rhythmic figure. You can throw the music into a whole new direction. So in that respect, I think playing the bass puts you sort of in the center of the musics that you deal with, whatever it is that you like to play. And that's what's exciting about it. In terms of getting a sound on your instrument, this is a tricky thing sometimes when I have students come in. A lot of times when we play the electric instrument, guys come in, they plug in, they turn up, and they just go. And they don't really think necessarily about the instrument as an acoustic instrument first, which I believe it is. I would encourage you to try practicing without an amp too, and getting a sound and getting in touch with your instrument without the aid of any kind of amplification, so that you're forced to create sound and draw sound of the instrument with just your fingers and develop a contact with the instrument that's more organic and not reliant on what you're plugging into. And that's just my idea, but it's an idea that's been around hundreds of years with the acoustic instrument, and I think it's worth checking into. Your sound is your whole communication with the group. If you have great ideas, but your sound is kind of strange and not clear, it gets in the way of your emotional input into the band. What you're trying to communicate can get blocked by a muddy sound, or a sound that's unsure, a sound that's a little tentative, and maybe sometimes, if you're not careful, maybe stepping on somebody else's idea by trying to go for something that you thought that might have been kind of interesting, but maybe just went straight on top of somebody else's idea. You kind of have to keep your antenna up all the time. So those are some of the things that I think are important. I guess one of the overriding principles in all this is the issue of time and connection with your instrument. Somebody with good time is able to communicate their ideas in a straightforward way that everybody else in the band can relate to. This is a big one, because you can have all kinds of interesting melodies and harmonies and have all the hip parts, but if you don't lay it down in a time frame where everybody can go, oh, that's where it is, then it creates a little confusion. Sometimes in my own playing, I've tried to deal with that issue. Whenever you go into a recording studio, you're faced with that issue. Sometimes things that you thought were kind of flowing nicely, then you listen to yourself back and you realize, wow, that's kind of awkward sounding. What am I doing there? And then you have to adjust. Record yourself often. and take a very objective look at what you're doing and see if you can shape some things in a different way. I think it's really instructive. Does anybody have any questions about anything for any of us?